I'm continuing on the theme of these 5 aggregates, trying to notice within our own self how we experience this physical body, this material body, how we experience the pleasant, unpleasant feeling, how we experience perceptions, how we experience the setting up of volitional formations or intentions, including both the stories we tell ourselves about this world and our place in the world, and also the decisions we might be making about what we are going to do in this world, and then how we experience what's called vijnana, the knowing faculty, sometimes translated as consciousness, how the conscious mind is aware of this body, aware of these feelings, aware of these perceptions, aware of that process of constructing a story of the world, or constructing intentions, forming intentions about what we're going to do. I'm just going to continue a little bit more explanation before going into meditation, and then we'll come back and have some more conversation afterwards. For an ordinary person who never heard about the Dhamma, a person can seem to be, in a way, trapped in this physical body, helplessly tied up with the different feelings and perceptions and stories and intentions, and almost like being a victim of the process of the mind, the process of our own psychology, so that these 5 aggregates, which is one way of defining our world, is like a sticky web, and which could sometimes be pleasant and sometimes be very unpleasant, but we don't know how to get out of it. The Buddha offers a different way of looking at these things, at these phenomena, in 2 aspects. One is that a phenomenon, meaning something that we experience, we're only experiencing it as long as the mind is paying attention and awake and focused on something in particular. So you might notice that while sitting in meditation, there could be a painful bodily feeling. The knee hurts or the neck hurts or something like that. And then one could turn the mind towards some kind of a more discursive thought. It could be that the mind starts thinking about something else, or it could be that intentionally, like bringing out the thought of loving kindness and doing that, directing the mind towards the thought of loving kindness. And when the mind is directed somewhere else, the pain disappears. And then when the mind stops being directed towards something else and comes back to examining the feelings, maybe the pain comes back. So the pain comes and goes and comes and goes. It's not at all stable, and there's nothing about the way we experience any of it, even the body. You think that that your body is at least going to last for the rest of this meditation session, but in fact it is constantly appearing and disappearing from awareness, depending on where the mind is. So that's a special way of examining these 5 aggregates in order to realize that it's not that fixed, that we're not really trapped, that it comes and goes. And one may even notice that we have the ability to choose where we put the attention. There's another aspect of the way that the 5 aggregates are might be experienced as a sticky spider web, or might be experienced as something that's disappearing, and that's in connection with birth. So when you were conceived as a human baby inside your mother's womb, you started to acquire a body, and started in some kind of a very general way to have feelings, even inside the womb. And then when you were born as a baby, then you began to gradually develop the ability to have perceptions and to form intentions. And so all of these things are part of the programming. So they're called upadana kanda. That's usually translated as the aggregates affected by clinging, but it's also the aggregates that you acquired when you got born as a human being and coming into this form. And then the cessation of those khandas is when you are no longer creating the type of intentions that is going to lead you on and on to the continued cycle of rebirth. So when we wake up, there's a possibility that this whole process, which is driven by delusion, driven by greed, driven by hatred, that those drivers drop away. And so nothing is being created anymore to take us into the next life. And so that is a really important meaning of the 5 khandas. And it's something that actually I don't see that emphasized very much in the way they're presented in the West, in like in Vipassana teachings. Before we wake up, the 5 khandas are considered to be part of the First Noble Truth, the truth of suffering. And this is when we're trapped in this mind and body, and don't yet know how to get out of it. I would like to invite during the meditation to Now just forget about everything I told you and simply, the very basic way, try to notice what's going on with your mind and what's going on with your body. So that's the project for this meditation. I invite all of us to come to an upright and balanced posture. Being aware of the physical body, feeling the weight of the body pressing on the chair or the cushion, aware of the upright and balanced quality of the torso. Arranging the legs and the hands in a way that's comfortable, that you can remain still for the next 35 minutes. And first, relaxing the body, scanning through the body from the head to the toes, and noticing if any part of the body is either tense or tight or nervous. And just think about relaxing that part of the body. Relaxing the top of the head, relaxing the face, relaxing the shoulders, letting the arms and hands hang like a dead weight, relaxing the hands, letting the belly be soft, relaxing the hips, letting the knees and legs relax, relaxing the ankles, relaxing the feet, letting the whole body be calm and still and tranquil. The earth element in the body resting on the floor or the seat, like a log in the forest, gently sinking into the earth. And turning awareness to the breath. However, the rise and fall of breath is noticeable. The movement of the breath, the temperature of the breath as it comes and goes. Awareness is so calm and still, just following, watching the breath. If there's a feeling connected to breath, what it's like, pleasant or neutral or uncomfortable, whatever, just notice that. Sometimes a strong, pleasant feeling comes along. Just notice that. If the mind is happy to stay with the breath, notice that. That's the volition. The mind is happy to stay. If the mind wants to wander away, notice that. That's another volition. If the mind comes back to breath, notice that. Whatever the mind is doing, staying with the breath or wandering, notice the feeling connected to that and the perception connected to that. As much as possible, returning to breath, just resting awareness on the breath and that pure simplicity, freedom from troubles. So opening the eyes, and if you need to stretch the body, make it a little comfortable. I know that years ago, before COVID, when the sessions at the Watt were always done completely in person without this Zoom aspect to it, they used to have another 20, 30 minutes of walking meditation. And that is the more healthy solution, but it doesn't quite work out in Zoom to have walking meditation session on Zoom. Dear friends, years ago, I had noticed a certain parallel between the teachings of the Buddha, particularly about the aggregates, and in particular about the aggregates in the context of the Four Noble Truths as being the summary of dukkha, the summary of suffering. The Buddha said, in brief, the five aggregates connected with clinging are dukkha. And I compared this to some of the teachings of Western psychology and brain science and philosophy of mind and so forth like that. And I noticed that there is a certain kind of a way that the body, the feelings, the perceptions that arise up under the influence of feeling, and the way that those three things spin around on a certain kind of a synergy to build up energy until there's like a breakthrough to the establishment of a volition or a decision about what to do. And the scientist who I liked a lot described these as being different aspects of emotion, which he described as being a positive human faculty that enables a person to very intuitively, rapidly, much more quickly than and more accurately than can be done with rational thinking, to organize themselves in order to respond to changes that require some kind of response in order to protect the life of the individual. So that was I guess he's more a philosopher than a scientist. His name is Antonio Damasio. He's from California, and he's interested in emotions and consciousness, what the philosophies about what consciousness is, and about the self, how the human mind creates a self. He never speaks about meditation, never about Buddhism or anything like that. And from his point of view, the way that these different aspects of experience come together to enable an individual to react, whether it's something outside in the environment or something that's happening inside with their body, that one can respond in a way to get a little more life, to continue one's existence, and that as a sort of a side effect of that, or an aspect of that, is that something about the experience of a self, the self-reflective idea of being able to cognize that one's own self is different than external things. He would some of the studies that he looked at were involved with people who had different kinds of brain injuries, where they would have, for example, lost big parts of their memory, or they lost the capacity to connect to feeling, or different aspects of the operation of the mind had been taken away. But with whatever part that was left over, the patients were still able to create a self, and he thought it was such an amazing, miraculous, wonderful thing that the human mind, or the mind of not only humans but other sentient animals as well, is able to always fabricate a self which is like everywhere and nowhere. That and so and it is certainly true, and I think very useful, kind of like maybe something that's a balancing factor. But in the Dhamma, one of the one of the most important of the first three fetters, which is holding us in this round of samsara, is the identity view, where one is taking any of the five aggregates, or all of them together, or in a combination, to be an aspect of the self. And sort of like latching on to that, having a belief in that process. So Professor Damasio never acknowledged the danger in the fabrication of the self. So he was able to, in a certain way, at the time where I was at, that perspective gave me a different aspect of, like, a way to understand the First Noble Truth, like what suffering is and how it works, the operation of dukkha. And what I noticed was for myself that in the ordinary mind, the way that these operations out of five khandhas operates together in that synergy, it's like a powerful machine. I used to call it a juggernaut. And there was so much pain and suffering associated with that, in part because that which is fabricated out of these five aggregates is not a true thing. It's a story that's been made up to almost to like justify what it's experienced in terms of feeling. And then sometimes if like we think of emotions are first of all, the word emotion is not a term that has a Pali an equivalent in the language of the Buddha, even though the Buddha definitely knows about anger and love and many different emotions, but there's not like a general theory of emotions expressed in the early text. But it seemed to me at the time that the Panchupadana Khandha, the five khandhas associated with clinging, were a pretty good explanation of how emotional reactions work. we need the five aggregates to organize ourselves in order to do what we've got to do in order to take care of our life. That's the reason when we got born as human beings, we were equipped with these. Actually, I'll say it's the five kindness plus the underlying tendencies is what I take as being, that's the basic package. But since I wanted to find the end of dukkha, and I found that these Western philosophers didn't really have anything to say about the end of dukkha. I became interested in saying how one could break out of the five khandhas when I was experiencing it as like a type of a prison, like being trapped within this set of reactions. And for the longest time, my experiment was about trying to see each part of them separated from the others. So it's not just seeing that Vedana is one thing and Sanya is another thing, that feeling is one thing and perception is another thing. Or one could see the impermanence of each one of them, and also that they have like an interaction, but they also can be separated. And in that process of separation, I was doing a kind of an inquiry like, is this real or not? So am I obliged to obey what my body is telling me? Am I obliged to obey what the feeling is telling me? Like, am I obliged to run away from an unpleasant feeling or to grasp and try to hold on to a pleasant feeling? If there's a perception, am I obliged to believe that that perception is true? If some intention arises, just as an idea, like, before this class happened, I spent an hour rehearsing, this talk. I wasn't like in a mirror rehearsing, but I was just, thinking through the things that I wanted to say. So if I want to do something, if you want to do something first, you rehearse it in your mind. So when that comes up into mind, say, just because some intention is getting rehearsed, do I have to do it? Or do I have a choice? And so then, in a way, this is kind of like laborious, but I was finding that if I fell into some kind of trap of a difficult emotional state that was hard to shake out of, hard to get out of, that rather than that if I could get one or two out of the five to become dismissed, then the machinery, all the gears were not interlocking anymore with the same power, and then the runaway train of emotions would just come to a stop. Now, there are much more efficient ways to do this same job. So, if you don't know how to uh, 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 abandon craving, if you don't know how to step away from craving, then you'll have to go through this laborious process of suffering through this mind and body that we have that's always grasping and craving after things, and just try to watch and see and understand how these tendencies become more powerful, or how they become weaker, or how from time to time they disappear completely. And like I have had the most brilliant. I've had brilliant experiences actually of different times when there was like emotional emotions, like so dislike or liking or disliking, hating and loving, uh, 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 pride and humility, uh, different emotional reactions, and sometimes the whole package just disappears. It just it's gone. And then so having the mindfulness to, you're watching, you're practicing, you're doing all of the steps that are given in this Eightfold Noble Path, cleaning your morality, practicing loving kindness, doing all those things. And then, but at the same time, this is your yoni samanisikara. This is the wise attention, directing awareness internally to see how does this mind keep on doing what it's doing? And how does it sometimes break out of negative habits and break into freedom? I say that this is the laborious way because uh, there's a way, I guess I would identify it most of all with the sankhara, which is called, sometimes called volitional formation or mental formations, uh, uh, sometimes associated with chaitana, uh, sometimes sankhara has a more broad general meaning of causation, that because of this that arises. So everything in the world of conditioned reality is always arising because of conditions and continuing as long as those supportive conditions exist. And then when the conditions change, the phenomena changes. But there's a way in which uh, the sankharas can be, in a way, like willfully adopted and intentionally. Um, the little, the little, I have a little lady inside me who sometimes likes to get up on a little soapbox and start wagging her finger and giving a speech, right? Um, or else maybe there's a different, like some little person inside me that um, just is tired of being mindful and just wants just wants to entertainment, wants to read a book, and so there's that. It's that, or sometimes in trying to, especially when we're out and about and dealing with people, human beings, and work and activities and different things that have to happen. So then one is trying to understand what's going on, and so then the mind creates an explanation, which is kind of like it's a story. So like the electrical current is running from the negative to the positive. And it's not just running along, but you use that image, that story, in order to understand something. And so, just the same way, we and what's happened to me in my later more being more mature in the Dhamma is I just came to be thoroughly disenchanted with sankhara. When the mind does that, it's like it's just so boring. When the mind does that, it's like I don't really give like a fundamental credibility to the way that the mind fabricates stories. And I see so clearly how much danger there is, how the advantages of creating a story, it's like you create a world and then you have to live in the world that you created with your mind. Uh, and just so I've gained a nibbida, or a disenchantment towards sankharas. And in that way, even though I still am sometimes taken away with, like, emotions are still going on. It's part of human nature. But I, I'm never been in the grip of a persistent emotional state like I used to be decades ago when I first started this work, because I'm just through with it, finished with it. So I'm not saying that this is the full extent of the level of freedom that one could obtain in becoming really freed from any kind of grasping and aversion in connection with these five aggregates. But I believe that the way that it sometimes is explained in, like, by contemporary teachers, they speak of the five aggregates as being things that we identify with as being the self, and that's like the important part of the five aggregates, is not to identify with it as being the self. And I don't really find that to be the most compelling aspect of why the sankharas are why the Buddha said, in brief, the five aggregates of clinging are dukkha. He didn't say that they're dukkha because of identification. I believe that the five aggregates of clinging are dukkha because they drive us to continue on and on with this fabricating, with doing, undertaking the kind of comic actions that are perpetuating the cycle of rebirth. And it's come all the way back to Professor Damasio. He said that, he was just purely by accident, he had a system of explaining how emotions support the arising of self. And his system had this miraculous parallel to the five aggregates and the anusaya and the underlying tendencies. So then, what he said is that these faculties of the human mind are what we use to continue our existence. And that's exactly the problem for Buddhism, because if you spend your whole life trying to continue your existence and you go all the way up to your deathbed, and while you get on your deathbed, you're still struggling and striving to continue your existence, then you shall have another existence. And also, you shall have a burden of anxiety throughout your entire life by always being fearful about your existence. And and you shall have a heavy burden of a kind of a false flag, like the self is sort of a false flag, and you're going to have to keep up, you're going to have to carry this false flag around with you the whole time, which is very tedious. But if you realize that this is just something it's an aspect of nature, and it's just what happens when we're a human being, and just relax about it, and don't undertake, don't buy into, don't take the bait about this aspect about continuing your existence, and just let your existence will take care of itself as long as it lasts. So that's my feeling about the what the contests have meant to me. And now I shall stop talking and invite your questions. And I'd like to give a special welcome to Seminary and Yada. So nice to see you again. I'm sorry, would you please unmute yourself? I'm going to, I have to give you permission to be unmuted so that, because
Okay.
there, now you go.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ajahn. Yes. รูป เวทนา สัญญา สังขาร วิญญาณ The Sankhan one is take me a while to understand clearly. You know, first I thought it's just all about rupa because the Thai explain about that is always point to the body that's going to be gone away. And then when I learn Paticca Samubad, and I think why Buddha put Sankhan right by Vinyan. Vinyan is mean the soul, the thing that you can touching or, you know, it's just an abstract thing. And now I just highlight, not now, but it's kind of like 5 years ago, while I'm driving, I cracked this thought. The Sankhan is more like a something, it's your creation. Humans have creation. You're always going to create things, you know. When you create things, it's the way you make yourself back to be born. Like you're waiting to be like Thai people. When they go to some Buddha or special occasion about Buddha, and they always say, you know, I born good, I born rich, next life. Because Thai people know about the circle of life. We die, we come back, we die, we come back. So the wishing they make, like, you know, please, Lord Buddha, this is example. They are most of Thai people always gonna do this. Like, please, Lord Buddha, I make a charity. I make a donation. So may I have a good life in the next life. This is mean you make a string for the next life. This is called sankhara. This is called your creation in your mind for the next one with your lopa, your self clinging. You still want yourself to come back and be better than this life. See, this is the way to create continuing to come back and born. So it's not easy for you to kind of like uncling.
Right.
You have to kind of like understand that you always, no matter what, how many lives you be born, you always gonna cling, especially yourself. You're always gonna think this is your, this the whole body is your, but definitely nothing is your, nothing at all. You know, if you can untie that, unthinking that, make your heart to understand nothing is your, You just come, be, and when you're gone, you come back to be another one. Whatever you've been doing in this life, it will benefit next life, you know. So, but you have to be aware that you not continuing or wishing or hoping for that continuing life, because you want to cut off, you want to be free from that, come back to be born.
Yeah.
It's kind of like complicated, but it's
Yeah.
if you kind of like untie the sense of feeling of self, especially self, is hard to unclinging and untie, because we always gonna clinging to self. We always think this is the whole body. All the thing is mine. That's my daughter. That's my car. That's my thing. This is my position. All those creating to make you cling to come back. So that's my. It's not many arahant or not many who have ability to successful of enlightening, because it's so defined. But you can a little bit use yoniso manasikan bit by bit and untie one by one, and I guess you will be success, and I hope everyone success in this life, because I am trying to be success, to not come back be born in this life, because I feel like this is a golden opportunity for me to try to do that. Thank you so much, Ajahn.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. That's a very wonderful explanation. And you make me remember that the Buddha said, avidya pachaya sankara.
Yes,
so as long as your mind is trapped in ignorance, you can't stop creating those sankharas.
Right.
But when avidya is destroyed by wisdom, by knowing, that's the last fetter, is the fetter of delusion. And when that's broken, then the sankhara stops.
Yes.
That's when it stops. So thank you so much.
Not easy. Thank you, Ajahn.
Any other comments or reports about how far you've come in breaking through sankharas? I'm going to call on Leo here in our space.
I just wanted to note that we have a friend here, the seminary. That's the camera.
Would you like to?
Nam Mô Buddhaya. I am the seminarist from Vietnam. So just daily, I usually do like to practice the meditations. Almost I practice Vipassana. And the first thing I usually do Anapana first. When my mind came down, I observe any sensations, and I understand about the three things, everything anicca, impermanence, and not self. And so that's the reason why any sensation arise, I not respond, I just accept, and I try to train my mind to equanimity, to understand about the anicca. I try to train myself to accept, and I know when my sixth sense contact with outside. I try to keep mindfulness, to remember the Dhamma, and I don't want to create a new sankhara, and I just want to destroy the old sankhara. I always to remind myself like this. Thank you so much.
Richard. Okay, I have to ask you to unmute. There, now you can speak.
Thank you, Raya. We were talking about that doctor. He said that he did not see the danger in fabricating the body of the five khandhas as a self. The problem is you would need to accept the idea of rebirth, or danger is not seen. That's why, because if this is your one and only life, then when you die, that's the end of it, right? And that also goes along with, why they don't see a problem, right? Because they want this to last as long as possible, because the alternative is, nothingness, I guess. But talking about upadana, upadana is upa and adana. Dana is charity. So adana means not being charitable, withholding, right? And upa is like up or on. So it kind of means like your current state is to be uncharitable. And this is why Buddha always encouraged giving dana, giving charity, especially to householders that attained stream or hearing entry, because that facilitates their ability to start letting go of the five khandhas. Okay, so even though they've seen that the body is not the self, but the habits are still there. They haven't. You're not broken of the habit. If you're broken of the habit, you're an arahant. So, there's still habits there that have to kind of slightly, disappear, right? So, I wanted to ask, in the last class on Sunday afternoon, just as the class was ending, I noticed that someone had sent me, just to me only, a chat message. And it just caught my eye just as the Zoom session closed. For whatever reason, you weren't here that day. Another bhikkhuni was leading the session, and I didn't have time to fix it. I just kind of realized, oh, wait a minute, that's a personal chat to me. I think the person's name began with a C, and I'm wondering if they're in the class tonight, but I'm not 100% sure on that, because it happened so quickly, and I didn't have any time to respond, and I was trying to focus my mind, and boom, the window closed. So if the person's in the class tonight and they wanted to resend that chat before the ending of the class,
Okay.
I just asked them to do that. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say, right? Thank you.
Yeah, the messages that came to the. Go ahead.
Can I say one more thing? I know we're talking about rebirth in the Bhikkhuni Ayya Niyata, I guess. Was talking about how Thai people are, kind of praying to Buddha for like a good rebirth. But I would like to encourage people to not fixate this on your goal of Dharma. Your goal should be to, try to, free yourself. But you don't have to come back as a human being. Okay? It's very clear. There are sutras that discuss this. When you go up into the heavens, you can go to where the Buddhists are, and you can continue on, learning about Buddhism. This existence in a physical body is way too much pain and suffering and peril and everything like that, and distraction. I know there's sort of this idea that, oh, the heavens are so wonderful and everything, that's distracting, but not if you have a Buddhist mind. Okay, so don't think that, oh, I'm not going to make much progress, so I'll try to take a good birth next time, and then I'll do better. If I could maybe be born in a Buddhist family, or if you're not from that type of culture, whatever like that. Don't think that way. Think to progressively develop yourself subtler and subtler, and you don't have to come back here. This is just a place of sheer terror and misery, really. There's moments where we think, oh, there's some fun thing or something to do, but that's when you're just kind of lost for a moment and you're not really perceiving the reality of what this is like. Anyways, so I think that's important. Don't convince yourself in this delusionary idea that you have to take rebirth as a human being and keep perpetuating this. Even if you're thinking in terms of a good thing like Buddhism or something, no, you don't have to do that. You can travel up and on and leave this behind. Yeah. Anyways, that's what I'm going to say. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, Mima, and I need to ask you to unmute. Okay.
Okay, there you go. Thank you, Ayya. I'm at a loss for words. The last couple of classes, the last couple of sits, have had such a profound impact on me. I find myself kind of like Richard said, very subtly catching the mind, doing that, like what you talked about earlier. Like today, in tonight's practice, I noticed that I was feeling sad, and it was I had a friend for over 20 years, and over this deportation and everything that's going on, I felt like I was missing her. And catching that and not telling myself a story, I noticed that it dissipated, but what helped it, like propel that, was sending her loving kindness, like sending her metta. And I feel like right in that moment, something shifted for me, that stopping the story and using metta was very liberating for me tonight, because I've been missing her since November, since the election, and I haven't heard from her since. And so this whole last 2 weeks has made me more aware during the day of what the mind is doing. And what Richard just said also, and what you've been talking about, is that if I don't catch that clinging or that craving, then I'm going to come back. And that has become so important to me, to catch the mind doing that, because if I have a choice, I don't want to come back.
Right.
Thank you so much, Ayya, and everyone else. Thank you.
These important moments of insight, which are very much based on, a particular moment of our life history and our experience. I find it very useful when like some kind of like a phrase or a image can capture like the essence of, like, what was this aha, this moment when you realize something. And then with that phrase or that image, one may find it useful to come back again and again and to realize, yes, I realized this once before, because, it's like the curtain opens and then it closes. And so to be able to recall and to bring back the insight, that's really good. And I think all of us have got many such significant moments when the mind was, gone down some kind of a rabbit hole, and suddenly said, Oh, I don't have to be stuck here. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. Chintana, are you looking to be comment? Okay.
I was just agreeing a lot. I will make a statement that I also had that realization this morning. I wasn't in a very good mood, and I started asking myself, well, why? And I was going to make up a story about why I'm not in a good mood. Well, it must be because of this, that, and that. And I stopped myself and I meditated, and yeah, yeah, the stuff just comes in. We don't have to make up a story about it.
Right.
Thanks.
Okay, very good. This may be enough for this evening. Let's come together and give respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Araham Samma Sambuddha Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Subhatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Sambe Buddha Bala Bada Bachakan Jambalam Avahandanam Chate Chaina Rakambandami Sabasa. Thank you everyone for your practice and your patient listening tonight.